Hello guys, very welcome back. In this video we will be starting with wage employment program. Now the basics of wage employment program is that creation of community assets, rural infrastructure, contribution from the poor households in creating these assets, and for this their service they are being paid wages, and with the help of wages they'll be pulled out from the poverty, right? So it's also solution to seasonal unemployment. If we see, majority of these poor households are agricultural families. Okay, now if we see, one of the most important wage employment program is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme 2006. It is the first central wage employment scheme under NREG Act 2005. Now, the pillars of NREGS are: it provides legal guarantee of 100 days of employment to at least one adult member per household, given that that adult is ready to do unskilled manual work, covering every rural household. Now let's focus on important points, important pillars one by one. A, legal guarantee. Okay, legal guarantee, it says that if within 15 days of application the job is not provided, then an unemployment allowances will be paid to the applicant. Okay, so that is what is legal guarantee. What is guarantee means? Guarantee means the center guarantees you, right? And the center means 90% of the allowances is paid by the center. All right, 90% of all the is funded by the center, right? Now 100 days of employment, it says that at least 100 days of employment will be provided to the applicant, right? It says the minimum is 100. It can go to 120, it can go to 150, right? Now next is this minimum 100 days of employment is 150 days of guaranteed employment for drought prone areas, right? The next is at least the legal guarantee of 100 days to at least one adult member per household. It can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 5, but one adult member is guaranteed by the center, right? If that adult member is ready to do unskilled manual work, right? Now, what is the reason that it is covering every rural household, even if the person is above poverty line or below poverty line? The reason why it's covering every rural household is since the person doesn't has any option but to do the unskilled manual work. This only proves that the person is in dire need of a job to feed his family. Forget who is poor, who is not. And once every rural household is in the ambit, it leads to a better targeting, right? This means that beneficiaries would be targeted in a better manner, right? So that was about the pillars of MGNREGA. And this 100 days of employment, the center says that since it is a centrally funded scheme where 90% of the funds would be provided by the center cautions state that if the state is not able to provide the job to the household, the unemployment wage would be funded completely by the state, because it comes now it's the issue of governance. It is not because of the center's fault, but the governance fault of the state, by which the people are not getting the job, right? And secondly, this is self-targeting, right? It is self-targeting because it is covering every rural household, right? Now, if we see the nature of the work, it says that the nature of the work, although not legally said, it says that the management of the natural resources should be the key. Because once you manage the natural resources, it has been proved many times in the Indian agricultural research papers that the poor management of natural resources, for example, the conservation of water, soil erosion, deforestation, etc., leads to poor agricultural productivity, which in turn leads to increased poverty. And hence, once jobs are provided to manage the natural resources, jobs are provided to conserve the water by making tanks, etc., it in turn manages the natural resources, which in turn increases the agricultural production. Now, if we look into the third feature of NREGS is implementation. Now, earlier the scheme was implemented by the bureaucrats, but under one bureaucrat there were several villages, and it was not feasible for the bureaucrat to understand the every village problem and plan the work, plan the jobs, or plan the infrastructure development according to every village. So this arduous task for the bureaucrat was dissolved, and the Gram Panchayats were empowered to implement the same, right? And definitely Gram Panchayat can take the assistance from the district level panchayats, for example the forest department, the water department, so on and so forth, right? Now, if we see a very related feature is that demand based fund allocation. Now, since Gram Panchayat is one which is implementing, it is based on a bottoms up approach, which says that the fund will be allocated only when there is a demand, and there would be demand only when the Gram Panchayat will chalk out plan, right? And not only it has been empowered, it has also been indirectly, by chalking out plan, it will demand fund, and hence its accountability is fixed, and hence this form of empowering the lower levels and at the same time fixing its accountability is the best form of governance. It's also known as the cooperative governance, right? And this bottom up approach of governance is what makes successful governance. The fifth approach of NREGS is gender parity, which says equal minimum wages for both male and female, although it was earlier also. But what it has done, it has there is an NREGS card, and it has ensured legal guarantee to both of them, right? And this new amendment has said that at least 1/3 employment must be reserved for women. And moreover, after few months, inflation indexed wages were introduced, inflation indexed minimum wages to be accurate. And finally, if we see, the sixth feature is the social audits, that is scrutiny and verification of NREGS accounts, which is the muster roll of NREGS. What is the job which people get, how many jobs in the village are getting, what kind of job, right? What kind of manual job, are there sufficient fund, when did they receive last salary, what is the minimum wages, right? What are the number of people who have not got job, and did they receive the unemployment allowance, right? But the main important thing is that since the implementation is done by the Gram Panchayat, the social audits is not done by the Gram Panchayat, rather it's done by the Gram Sabha. And it is finally submitted, the report is submitted to Rural Development Ministry. Alright, so that was all the 6 features of Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Thank you.